back on since this morning. Had a lot of stuff going on for me today, and of course, I still got a lot of crap going on for me today. Things don't change. Things don't change. This is going to be a short and brief little update here. ER Blue, Melanie, it's nice to see you guys. I hope you're doing well. Grave Crime with Grace, hello, hello. It is nice to see you guys. We're going to go over this. AtNight Private Intelligence Agency. I've been hearing a lot of stuff going on, so I figured we'd cover it together. There's a reward has been increased, offering leads and information to both Summer Wells and Sebastian, and terms and conditions now apply. And they're very clear what those terms and conditions are related to the reward. So nobody can mistaken what this is. It's nice to see you, Gypsy Girl. Lisa B. Always. Chip, hello. It's nice to see you. Welcome. Deanna. Southern Grammy. MN Mom. Minnesota Mom, I think. If I got my abbreviations right. Oh, good gracious. Deanna, Cece, it's nice to see you. Lakeith, it's nice to see you. Kathleen, Beth, hey. Don, it's nice to see you. Got a secret? Hey. Bluegrass Meadows, it's nice to see you. Yep, you're right. Good, I might just be smarter than a 5th grader. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. So, I hear people are kind of quacking about this. I mean, now they're taking on another case. They have a very hefty reward for one of the cases that is very near, and both of these cases are near and dear to me. Many of you guys know I spent 18 months on the Summer Wells case and still talk about it to this day. We were the people that put together the 1-year milestone for Summer Wells out in the front of Hopkins County Sheriff's Department. To remind them of what this was all about. And it was a wonderful, beautiful event for her. And she's been gone since 2021. It is now 2025. We're coming up on her 4-year milestone. It feels like it was just yesterday, some of the stuff we did. We were a little more ruthless. Like, we would just pop up on people if they were standing on a sidewalk with a bunch of cameras and just start pecking them with questions. And this case needs to be solved. Both of these cases are solvable case. Both of these cases, in my opinion, have very similar situations, parties involved, everything. But I think it was Don and Candace. Whatever happened to Summer, they both know, and I think Chris and Katie both know what happened to Sebastian. Just in my opinion. And for the rest of my life, while I'm an American citizen, I'm entitled to that. And I'm entitled to vocalize that as well. So let's look at these terms and conditions. Again, guys, we're not going to be here too awfully long. I'm in the middle of something, and tomorrow's going to be very crazy for me as well. And if you guys don't realize, this morning when I was here, I told you Happy Hump Day. Nobody even corrected me that today was Thursday, or if you did, I didn't see it in the chat. Like, I lost a whole entire day. You can imagine how frustrating that is. My neighbor told me like 2 hours ago when I'm like, he's like, well, did you go to the county today? I said, I don't go until Thursday. He goes, today's Thursday. I said, no, it's not. It's Wednesday. He goes, no, today's Thursday. And I'm like, son of a gun. Missed my county obligations too. I'm just like in a twilight zone here. I'm like, what the heck is going on with me? I'm what the heck? How did this happen? Anyways, let's read the terms and conditions. Let's just read the whole entire post in its entirety. And once it's read, I'll give you my take on it. Hey guys, our beautiful mod squad's here. Carol, Mike, it's nice to see you. Gigi, hey. Hey. Cece said I thought it was Wednesday too. Good. I'm not the only one. Hello, Wilted Lettuce. Is that Candace saying leave the case alone? Candace is, she hasn't really said much of anything. She has done no interviews. Well, I shouldn't say that. She's done very, very little. And when she is on an interview, she does very, very little talking. The only time I think she really gave an interview alone was when Don Wells was in jail for that DUI, you know? So anyways, revised reward disclaimer with clarification issued for the disappearance of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Contact 911 or authorities first. For immediate release, April 18th. I'm not going to read their contact information. It's not necessary. Philadelphia, PA, the AtNight Private Intelligence Agency affiliated with One World Society has formally released and revised the legal binding reward disclaimer effective April 18, 2025, pertaining to the reward initiative associated with the ongoing disappearance of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, aged 15, now 16. The revision supersedes all prior language issued in 2024 or early 2025 and aims to clarify AtNight's role, reward eligibility, and mandatory law enforcement reporting requirements governing this process. However, it permits individuals who provided information prior to the revision to qualify, provided they promptly notified law enforcement. AtNight Reward Program has been operational since September 2024 and operates independently of law enforcement. It consistently encourages and prioritizes compliance with local, state, and federal regulations. Although the original disclaimer was technically correct in structure, it lacked plain language clarity that could mislead the public into believing that tips could be submitted to AtNight before contacting law enforcement. This has never been our policy. However, it is our duty to make it unequivocally clear now. Although the previous version eluded the legal alignment with federal investigative framework, it omitted the explicit requirement for law enforcement submission as a prerequisite. This oversight resulted in misunderstandings among certain members of the public and media, despite AtNight's consistent emphasis across all material and digital assets that 911, FBI, and local authorities must be contacted first in all non-theoretical, real-world tip situations. AtNight and One World assumes full responsibility for this confusion and are committed to providing clearer legal and ethical guidelines in the future. What has changed in the revised disclaimer? Enhanced security measures and compliance, prioritizing law enforcement collaboration. All tips must be reported to law enforcement authorities prior to AtNight. Submissions made to AtNight without proof of police or FBI contact will be automatically disqualified. Clarifying independence and accountability. AtNight operates solely on behalf of the family of Sebastian Rogers, particularly his father, Seth Rogers. There is no coordination with law enforcement, federal or otherwise, beyond escalation of ignored or mishandled tips. Expanding claimant verification. AtNight now includes mandatory biometric international database screening and third-party digital forensic audits. Claimants must demonstrate that they had no familial or legal ties to suspects within a 5-degree familial relationship. Strict disqualifiers. Submissions previously shared with media, monetized online, or altered in any manner are void. Intentional intelligence laundering, defamation, staged evidence, or public harassment of the victims or their families will result in permanent disqualification. Updated legal structure and payment terms. AtNight operates under Pennsylvania registration and is in the process of legal incorporation in Delaware. Reward disbursements are deferred for 60 months following sentencing. unless the board grants extraordinary circumstances waiver. Payments will be managed via third-party escrow, subject to independent audit. Global compliance and international vetting, non-U.S. claimants are now subject to general data protection regulations, the Office of Foreign Asset Control, and other personal information protection and Electronic Data Act, as well as other cross-border validation measures. Why this matters? The revised disclaimer safeguards the public safety, ensures legal defensibility, and upholds investigatory integrity while simultaneously incentivizing the return or recovery of Sebastian Rogers or lawful prosecution of any individual implicated in his disappearance. We kindly request that the public comprehend that any claim will not be considered valid unless submitted in accordance with the updated terms outlined by the new heartburn over the thing about the 60 months. What's going on? Was my camera going out? That was really weird. Seems like my camera is going out. There's my thumb over it. I don't know why it was doing that. It went like black on me. Huh, that was weird. Thank you, Elizabeth. 1 month. The Lord, I pray you lead them to Sebastian today. Amen. Amen to that. Thank you all for being here. But I wanted to clarify that thing, that update. Now, you have to understand a few things that many people don't take into consideration when these rewards are created. One is most of them require the return of the person and or the successful prosecution of those responsible. That's typical of a lot of rewards that are out there. I think that this one clarifies it. It gives them mechanisms, because people may, if they have something, they may hold it until the reward is up XYZ and wants to turn that into Dog the Bounty Hunter, and it shouldn't go there. It should go to law enforcement. That is, they're trying to find a missing child. They're wanting this child to be found or those responsible to be held accountable. And any information leading to that makes you eligible for the reward. But litigation takes quite a bit. And not only that, but you also have to think AtNight Media is completely responsible for this now $500,000 reward. And while they have sponsorships now, will they have sponsorships, at that time when this case is going to court? They're putting on a lot of financial responsibility with this reward that is backed. But even just like the Summer Wells case, when all of that money was raised for Summer Wells, you have to remember law enforcement ended up donating that because there was a cutoff time. Like, we need this, this is an urgent matter. So you would anticipate, and which is really interesting, because they didn't say we've been in this case XYZ months, we're now recalling the reward. That's what law enforcement did in the Summer Wells case, if you guys don't remember that. And they were the ones that maintained that reward pool. And when they dissolved it, they ended up donating some ungodly amount, like $50,000 or $70,000 to a nonprofit of sorts. I can't remember, but there was a litigation that went on about that reward money as well. So again, very interesting, but they're not pulling back the reward. Actually, they increased it and they added Summer Wells to the pool of money as well. I don't know how that works, with the two of them. Was it $250,000 a piece? Is it $500,000 a piece? I mean, that's a lot. So when you're increasing rewards like that, you have to put some, some rules and regulations in place so there is no misunderstanding or anything being misconstrued, because this is a legal situation, right? They're saying if you do XYZ, you will be eligible for this reward. So I think it's much, much clearer. I know people may want to try to twist it and turn it the way they want to turn it and run a narrative, their narrative that they would like to run. But at the end of the day, I think it is very crystal clear on how to get this money if you have information. Now, the one thing is, which is, I know a lot of people with rewards do the same thing. If you're part of the family, you can't, you're not eligible for the reward. But I truly believe the people that hold all of the keys in this case are the family members. I think that in the Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, as well as Summer Wells, I think it would be the family that knows more than anybody else. And with Sebastian Rogers, I believe more family members, more extended family members know exactly what happened and are okay with the situation at hand. And that's what's so concerning. But there's got to be some people that may overhear this that are still part of the family that may not be okay with this. And I'd hate for them to lose out on a reward if they have the information to bring Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers home, and as well as Summer Wells. So, like I said, this was going to be really short and sweet. I just wanted to come on here and kind of give you my insight, because I did, throughout today, I do my research throughout the day. I do have some updates before we go. I do have some updates. Let me get them pulled up. And we're going to be going over it a little bit more. Many of you know that we had a member, a subscriber in our chat, and her aunt was kidnapped, tortured, unalived, most likely AR'd, by her handyman. And it's alleged that he encased her in concrete and buried her under a shed. So we have, she's been sending me articles to kind of, update me on what is going on in the case. And so I'm looking over those, and we're going to be running another story on this tomorrow morning to update you guys on information that I read, so you guys can be familiar, not just with the case details, but with the story, the story of Marcia. Marcia Norman is her name, and she was an 82-year-old grandmother that I have to think had some uneasy feelings about this man at some point because of some of the things that we read when we discussed this case. And from what her niece told us is that he tortured her. And when we read some of the description of how she lost her life, it was pretty brutal. And she seemed to be such a nice lady. Being 82, living alone, she would have to be able to take care of herself and handle herself, right? So I have to think that she was very, very sweet, but would know how to firm up if need be. It just comes with the territory. And when I had described that, her niece said that she was a Spitfire, and that would be exactly, the type of personality I would expect from her. So, just a sad case all around, tortured for hours with blunt force, nail gun allegedly, exactly, Lisa B. Always. So we'll be going over some of more of that tomorrow morning. If you guys are interested in that story, please stop by. We'll start off and kick this off around 10 a.m. in the morning. That's usually the first show of the Bullhorn Betty channel. So I hope to see you guys there. And I'm sorry for losing a day, but tomorrow, hey, at least it's TGIF, right? At least it's TGIF. So God bless you guys. Go rock it out with your coffee beans out. I just wanted to give you guys this important update about Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers' reward. I know a lot of people are really thankful for this reward. I know personally I'm super thankful. that we have this reward. I think it brings a lot of attention to the Sebastian Rogers case, and that's what we need. And I just hope that somebody comes forward. That's what all of this is really about, is if somebody saw one of these parents acting weird, not in the places they were supposed to be, hanging out, going over to a family member's really late at night, or hearing a loud conversation. It could be something you don't even really know that you're holding the key to everything. It might just be something that wasn't alarming, just was out of place. A person, a conversation, a vehicle. We just need people to pay attention and people to really, really think. And that goes for the Summer Wells case too. Allie, she had so much information, and she lost her life. She was supposed to come on this show she didn't want to say anything until after Dawn and Candace were arrested, but we had always planned that when that day happened, she was going to be on our show and just drop the tea. Everything that she knows. She confided in me with a few conversations. If you don't know who Allie is Hunter's mom. Hunter was with Summer Wells, her mother, and Summer's grandmother out at the water hole, as well as a lot of different places in and around the Kingsport area. So they live in Hopkins County, but they visited Kingsport, which Kingsport, I believe, is like 20 to 30 minutes away from where Summer Wells was allegedly abducted off this mountain. And when I say they live up a mountain, a 4-cylinder car would not be able to drive up their driveway. I just want to put that into perspective of how far up you got to go. And I know this personally. I've watched cars not make it up there that tried to drive up there, and they were going up there to visit, so they had to park down at the bottom and walk up the driveway. The car would not go. So and they had 21 dogs on the property that day. 21 dogs, and they are noisy. They are noisy. And I know that they're noisy because we dropped off dog food and dog treats there when we realized how poorly they were being taken care of. And we called Don and let him know that we dropped the dog food off at the mailbox for him to come down and get the dog food and the dog treats. And he did. So we know how many dogs were there. I've seen the dogs. I know how noisy the dogs are. And they know you're driving when you turn on Ben Hill. They start barking before you even get off Beach Creek and onto Ben Hill. So for you to actually, like, they were barking. They're sweet dogs. Don't get me wrong. They were they were barking to let people know we're there, but they also came up to us and were very, very sweet dogs, So long story short, I don't believe she was abducted from that mountain because it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. You got to think this child, she's 5 years old, she weighs 60 some odd pounds. You have to, even though there's not a lot of water in the creek around their property, it still goes down quite a bit. I mean, you got to talk about jumping down with a child. You're leaving impressions. You're leaving boot marks. You're having to jump into the water, which is leaving boot marks. You got to get out of the water, climb up the other side, which should leave marks and boot marks. And never mind the fact that this child at this point, if you're clearing all these things and jumping into this creek and having to climb up on the other side to get away, this child's going to know she's not supposed to be going with this person and should be screaming, kicking, moaning, groaning, whatever, letting people know that somebody's abducting her out of her basement. None of that stuff existed. And when you put the theory to test, if somebody can scale that freaking mountain with a child, the answer is no. Absolutely not. And so that is your biggest clue out of everything. And why was that their first inclination was that she was abducted in the middle of flipping nowhere? So I don't know. I don't know. There's just something that's always rubbed me the wrong way. I don't trust Don. I've spoke to him. I've seen him eyeball to eyeball finally after years of working his daughter's case. And at the end of it, it doesn't make sense. And when things don't make sense, that means it intentionally doesn't make sense. Somebody manufactured the information, and somebody is not being honest with what they know. Children don't vanish, but they sure do in Tennessee. They sure do in Tennessee. And all that has to happen is their mommy and daddy have to just put them out of reach where nobody can find them, and they are scot-free. That is a very, that's, and nobody's doing anything to address that in Tennessee. They're doing a lot of ST and HT stings, and they're going after the gangs. Yeah, right? Doing all this work to distract from the fact, but what are they doing about their children? What laws are they putting in place to help protect their children? You know, there's so much that needs to be done in all states. In all states. Right now we're focused on Tennessee because this is the state that has the majority of the cases that we're covering right now. Holland Snap, Layla Santinello, Summer Wells, and Sebastian Rogers. So, I know, Patty Lee. I wish... Well, it sounds like there's enough people that know about this corruption in that community that it seems like if we really wanted a demonstration, it would probably, benefit everyone to get together and plan something that's going to get the attention of not just that community, but as well as the national platform and Governor Bill Lee's attention, So if you guys know any of the people that are out there protesting and, bringing awareness to the corruption, what they call corruption for another person's case, I'm sure there's other people out there. Hey, Love It. It's nice to see you, Love Bug. I hope you're doing well. I think united we stand. And so it seems like a lot of us are having some of the same issues, just different names and different faces. So I definitely think that collaboration on causes would be a benefit to everybody involved. So we'll see how that pans out. We'll see what goes on. But they did very good. I got to watch some of the protests and some of the sign waving out there in front of Sumner County. They did a very good job, kept it clean, kept it to the point. They did it the right way, and that's what I like. I don't like people going out there and running amok and causing problems for everybody that tries to do the right thing when they're gathering to uplift their voice. So definitely loved seeing it. It was perfect. They did an excellent job. That's all I've got to say. It was excellently. It was coordinated well. Just an excellent gathering. So kudos to them. Kudos to them. And I'm glad they got to raise their voices. But that's not just. It's not just them. There's a lot of people that are affected by the failures of the courts to adhere to the statutes of their own state in that county. They go outside of the lines. Period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I've witnessed it firsthand. And it can't happen anymore. Something's got to give, and it's got to be stopped. So it sounds like a lot of people all over the place aren't really happy. I was reading an article that the Henderson County Fire Department is upset that they, law enforcement's getting a raise, which thank God, law enforcement needs but first responders in general, they're the people that we rely on the most. And when I talk about law enforcement, me personally, I'm including the firemen into that, because I feel that they are, not, I know they're not law enforcement, but when I speak of law enforcement, I'm really speaking of first responders in general. Maybe I need to change my tune, but I like law enforcement knowing that they need to be properly trained and properly paid for the job that they do. At the end of the day, firemen, they save lives, but police officers typically put their life on the line to serve and protect. Whereby the firemen, yes, they can get hurt with their job, and I don't want to downplay their work, because it's very, very, very important. But they're not carrying guns, you know. They're not going after people that can end their life. I mean, they're usually fighting fires and dealing with disgruntled people, and that is a tough job, and their lives are on the line. So I don't want to. That kind of doesn't sound good, does it? But I love all of our first responders. But I just wanted to give some perspective. While I do appreciate them, and I absolutely think that they deserve a raise, right along with law enforcement. I'm sorry, I dealt with their law enforcement, and their law enforcement needs to be properly trained, and they need to have better pay. Usually you get better police officers, better trained, better quality police officers when you pay a living wage to law enforcement as well as firemen. But it's sad that the firemen, they put their lives on the line every day as well, and they should be compensated for that, because it's not just a them thing, it's a whole family thing. Like, their whole family's committed, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, just my 2 cents. All right, guys, I love you. God bless each and every one of you. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. We'll go over some more information about that case. If anything pops up about Sebastian Rogers over the next, several hours until tomorrow at 10, we'll have open discussion and dialogue on that as well. I see people saying hi to Turkey Man. So Turkey Man, if you're in here, it's nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. I lost a day this morning. I thought it was Happy Hump Day, and by this afternoon, my neighbor, kind of took the air out of my balloon and told me it was Thursday and I had missed a county meeting. Oh well, I can only do so much. My brain obviously didn't want to go to a meeting. That's the only thing I can think of. Anyways, guys, I love you, and we'll see you soon.